Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Here's a question y'all might not have considered before your first coffee this morning. What if the first thing your body needs every single day has nothing to do with food, caffeine, or a workout?
Right. And the answer, according to a growing body of research, is light. Specifically, natural light hitting your eyes within the first hour of waking, not through a window, not from your phone, actual outdoor light.
And I know that sounds almost too simple, but this gets into some genuinely fascinating territory about how your eyes are doing something completely separate from seeing.
Exactly. There's a class of cells in the eye called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, iPRGCs, and they don't contribute to vision in the conventional sense. They are essentially a biological clock reset button, and what they do downstream touches hormones, mood, metabolism, and sleep.
So today we are going deep on vision as a biological switch, how natural light exposure regulates your hormonal health. And y'all, this one genuinely changed how I think about my morning.
Let's start with the mechanism, because I think it's worth understanding why this works before we talk about how to use it. The iPRGCs we just mentioned are particularly sensitive to short wavelength blue light, the kind that's dominant in natural outdoor light, especially in the morning.
And when those cells detect that light, they send signals not to the visual cortex, but directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, which is essentially the master clock of the brain.
Right, the SCN then coordinates the timing of virtually every hormonal system in the body. Cortisol, melatonin, insulin sensitivity, testosterone, estrogen, all of them run on circadian timing, and the SCN sets that timing based on light information from the eyes.
Okay, so I want to unpack that for a second. Because when most people hear circadian rhythm, they think sleep, just sleep. But you're saying it's bigger than that?
Significantly bigger. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute, who is one of the leading circadian biology researchers in the world, has shown that nearly every cell in the body has its own clock. Liver cells, fat cells, immune cells, and those peripheral clocks are synchronized primarily by light and feeding time. The I to SCN signal is the anchor.
So if that anchor is off, everything drifts.
That is precisely the problem, and it is remarkably common because most of us in modern life spend our mornings in indoor lighting, which is typically around 200 to 500 lux. On a bright outdoor morning, you're looking at 10,000 lux or more. That is not a small gap.
That is a massive gap. And here's the thing though. I started stepping outside for about 5 minutes before my coffee a few weeks back. I originally did it because of what we covered about nature exposure. But now I realize I was accidentally doing something much more targeted.
Habit stacking working better than intended, which is actually a reasonable model for this. The behavior is low cost, low barrier, and the biological effect is disproportionate to the effort.
So let's talk cortisol specifically, because cortisol gets such bad press. Everyone's trying to lower their cortisol, but there's a morning cortisol spike that is actually supposed to happen.
Yes, and this is an important nuance. There is something called the cortisol awakening response, the CAR, which peaks roughly 30 to 45 minutes after waking. It's not a stress response, it's an activation signal. It primes alertness, mobilizes energy, supports immune function, and morning light exposure amplifies it appropriately.
So it's timed cortisol. Good cortisol at the right moment.
Right. The problem is when that morning peak doesn't fire properly, often because of insufficient light exposure. And then cortisol drifts elevated into the evening, which is exactly when it should be declining to allow melatonin to rise.
That inversion is what people feel is wired but tired. You're exhausted but can't sleep, which, hand raised, I have absolutely experienced that.
And it perpetuates itself. Poor sleep means a blunted morning cortisol awakening response the next day, which means you reach for more caffeine, which further suppresses melatonin at night. The circadian architecture keeps degrading.
Now, I want to make sure we're talking to all of our listeners here. Because if you're in your 50s or 60s, there's an additional layer, right? The eye changes with age.
This is really important. The lens of the eye yellows with age, which filters out more of the short wavelength light that the iPRGCs are most sensitive to. Research published in journals including Current Biology has shown that older adults have measurably reduced circadian light sensitivity, which means if you're over 50, you may need more outdoor light time to achieve the same hormonal signaling effect.
So the people who most need this are potentially getting the least benefit from the same dose. That's a bit sobering.
It is, and it connects to falls risk, depression rates in older adults, dementia research, all of which have circadian disruption as a contributing thread. A 2019 study in JAMA found that irregular sleep-wake patterns and light exposure in older adults were independently associated with cognitive decline.
Y'all, that is not a small finding. And this is exactly why I keep having more and more conversations with my mom about stuff like this. We've talked about her heart health, her diet. I don't think we've ever discussed light exposure and her morning routine.
It's one of the most accessible levers for that demographic and genuinely underutilized. No prescription required, no equipment needed beyond walking outside.
All right, let's get practical. And while we do, if this episode is giving you something useful, please do hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more people who need this kind of evidence-based conversation.
Appreciated. So practically speaking, the research, and much of this is anchored in the work of Dr. Andrew Huberman at Stanford, who has synthesized a great deal of the circadian neuroscience, suggests that 10 to 30 minutes of outdoor light exposure within the first hour of waking produces measurable downstream hormonal effects.
And critically, you don't need bright sunshine. Overcast skies still deliver 10 times more lux than indoor lighting. So the "it's cloudy in London" defense is not going to work, David.
I was hoping it might, but no. Overcast outdoor light is still dramatically more effective than indoor lighting, even through cloud cover.
Now here's where I want to push back slightly on something, because I've seen this advice get translated into very rigid prescriptions. Like, you must do exactly 30 minutes, you must not wear sunglasses, you must face east. And I think that kind of framing loses people.
That's a fair point. The underlying principle is dose-dependent stimulus. More is better than less. Something is better than nothing. First thing in the morning is better than midday. But a 5-minute walk outside while getting your kids to school counts. It's not nothing.
Right. It doesn't have to be a ritual. It can just be a decision to go outside first instead of opening your laptop or your phone.
And on that note, avoiding bright artificial light in the first hour is arguably equally important. The eye's photoreceptors are essentially calibrating the clock. If you flood them with high-lux indoor lighting or screen light before outdoor exposure, you confuse the signal.
Which is why picking up your phone immediately upon waking is genuinely counterproductive. Not just because of the content stress, but the photonic signal it sends your clock.
Precisely. Bright light at the wrong time is as disruptive as insufficient light at the right time.
Okay, let's address the skeptics, because someone is listening right now thinking, this sounds like another wellness thing that's easy to oversell. Is this actually as impactful as it sounds?
The honest answer is yes, for most people with realistic expectations. This is not a cure. It's a regulator. It helps a system that's already supposed to work better. What the literature does show fairly consistently across sleep research, endocrinology, and even metabolic research is that circadian entrainment, keeping your clock accurately anchored, is one of the highest leverage, lowest cost interventions available. Dr. Till Roeneberg, a chronobiologist at Ludwig Maximilian University, has spent decades documenting the health consequences of what he calls social jet lag, the mismatch between your biological clock and your social schedule. Light exposure is the primary corrective tool.
And the thing that gets me is that this isn't a new supplement or a new device. This is literally just going outside. We have always done this. We just stopped.
The industrial and digital transitions moved us indoors and lit our nights with artificial light. The biology hasn't caught up because it doesn't need to. It's telling us exactly what it needs. We stopped listening.
That feels like an important reframe. Our bodies haven't failed. We've just changed the conditions.
Which means that changing the conditions back is genuinely within reach. That's not an oversell.
Okay, so if you take one thing from today, just one, make it this. Go outside within the first hour of waking. Not a long walk, not a complicated ritual. 5 minutes minimum. No sunglasses needed on cloudy days. Do it before your phone, before your laptop, before your second argument with the coffee maker. Your hormones, your sleep, and your mood will have a better chance of landing where they're supposed to be.
And if you are in your 50s or beyond, consider this less optional. The light sensitivity decrease that comes with age means your biological clock is more vulnerable to drift. Outdoor morning light is one of the simplest compensating habits available. Right, go outside. That is the whole message.
That is the whole message. Y'all, thank you so much for spending this time with us. If this episode connected with you, please share it with someone who could use it. An aging parent, a sleep-deprived friend, anyone who's been wired but tired for longer than they'd like. We're all figuring this out together.
Brilliantly put. Now go outside.
This show is part of the VoxCrea.ai system. If you want a show like this for your organization, without building it yourself,
go to voxcrea.ai and request a sample episode.